You ever have a moment that changes everything, one you can't explain, can't undo, can't forget? For me, it started as curiosity. A what if? A quiet dare I made to myself on a night that didn't feel like any other. The candles were already lit before I realized how serious I'd become. Their soft flicker painted the walls in gold and shadow, stretching across the white sheets I'd straightened 3 times already. I told myself it was just for the atmosphere. Just to see what it would feel like to surrender control, even for a moment. I didn't expect the nerves to feel like fire under my skin. The black lace fit too well, delicate where it should be soft, daring where it shouldn't. I turned once in the mirror, then again, trying to convince myself I looked calm. But my reflection gave me away, every breath, every tremor. I wasn't calm. I was alive in a way I hadn't been for years. 3 knocks broke the silence. I hesitated. That was the deal. After all, I could stop this any time. But something in me didn't want to. I opened the door. Ethan and Cole stood there. Ethan, the tall one, had that quiet steadiness about him. The kind of man who didn't have to say a word to be understood. Cole, though, was different. His eyes held something playful, testing, dangerous even. The kind of man who enjoyed watching what would happen next. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. Ethan stepped closer, and in one small motion, the air between us shifted. The world grew quieter. He reached out and let his fingers brush my wrist, light, deliberate. My pulse betrayed me instantly. He didn't need to ask if I was sure. He already knew. The blindfold came next. The moment it slid into place, sight disappeared, and everything else sharpened, sound, scent, the feel of the air. I could hear their footsteps, slow, measured, closing in. I could feel my heart against my ribs like it was trying to escape. Then, nothing. Silence has a weight to it, like the world holding its breath. When I felt a hand at my waist, steady and firm, my knees nearly gave out. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. Every touch was deliberate, like he was drawing out time itself. My mind spun in the dark, imagining what his eyes might be saying, what expression might be passing between them. I'd never realized how powerful stillness could feel, how much could be said without a word. When Ethan's breath brushed against my ear, I stopped breathing entirely. "You trust me," he whispered. I nodded before I could think. "Then let go." And I did. What followed wasn't chaos, it was choreography. Each motion planned, deliberate. They didn't overwhelm, they guided. It wasn't about control. Not really, it was about choice. Every move was one I allowed, every moment one I wanted. It wasn't about pain or fear. It was about discovery, about feeling things I'd buried deep beneath logic and responsibility. At some point, I lost track of where one set of footsteps ended and the other began. The sensations blurred: heat, tension, release, laughter. I could feel them both near me, one close enough that his breath warmed my neck, the other far enough to make me wonder when he'd return. When the blindfold finally came off, the world looked softer, different somehow. The candlelight shimmered against their faces. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. There was a kind of reverence in the silence, a shared knowing that we'd crossed a line together, not out of recklessness, but out of trust. I sat there, breathless, trembling not from fear, but from something deeper. Something I didn't have a name for. Ethan leaned in, his hand brushing a stray strand of hair from my face. "Now you know," he said quietly. I wanted to ask what he meant, but I didn't. Because I did know. That night wasn't about temptation or rebellion. It was about surrendering to curiosity, to the unknown, to the parts of ourselves we spend years hiding. It was about learning that vulnerability can be a kind of power too. When they left, the room felt both empty and full at once. I sat for a long time, tracing the edge of the sheet with my fingers, letting every moment replay like a secret film only I could see. I didn't regret a thing. The next morning, I woke up different. Quieter, calmer, but somehow more alive. The scent of candle wax still lingered in the air, and so did the memory, the way their presence had filled every corner, every breath, every heartbeat. Curiosity had brought me to that door. But what I found on the other side wasn't what I expected. It wasn't about them. It was about me. Because sometimes, what we call temptation is really just the truth waiting to be seen. And once you see it, you can never go back.